Welcome to 5 Minutes of X, where the Comics Code Authority dictated clean living and Marvel said, puff first, ask questions later. The X-Men number 28 released November 3rd, 1966. It was written by Roy Thomas with art by Werner Roth. I'm really starting to like these two. We've yet to reach the heights of the Juggernaut intro, but we also haven't seen the lows I saw with Stan Lee writing every issue. I'm really telling the difference at this point between these two and the previous writer and artists. Our splash page tells us a lot about this new character, the Banshee. He's flying above the street in New York City. His screeching is so loud that everyone's just covering their ears and falling down. We'll find out later that this scream he does is actually the way he flies. He literally screams so loud that it lifts his adult human body off the ground. We then find out that he is Irish. Very, very Irish. He uses his scream to knock everyone out and break into an art gallery where he steals the lamest painting of all time. Back at the X-Mansion, Mimic is traveling as far as possible from the X-Men to see if his abilities are being successfully stretched by Professor Xavier. A little cockiness from him about his growing abilities before we cut to Banshee smoking a pipe and talking to some rando villain, the Ogre. They're referencing this new supervillain group that we haven't met yet. They're named Factor 3. While this conversation happens, the detail for continued pipe smoking gives way to the Banshee needing to run out to a tobacco shop. A lot of emphasis is put on this pipe smoking. He breaks in and steals supplies, and this is when we learn that Scott and Charles are using Cerebro to track this new menace. We cut to Jean at college, then back to the villains, then to the X-Mansion again. As this plot rolls out, it becomes clear that Factor 3 has this device that just sets fires randomly. And they're going to use that device as a distraction while they kidnap the professor. And they do try. Banshee and the Ogre break into the mansion and make the attempt, but they're foiled by the X-Men plus Mimic, and when they return to their base, they blame each other for the failure. So there's this weird scene where Professor gives out stuffing and ear covers to the team, then asks Jean to put his on for him. It's a little gross and weird. I don't know. Anyway, but now the team must speak telepathically because they can't hear anything. The Banshee returns to finish the kidnap job, but is now captured as his main screeching weapon won't take out the X-Peeps with their new ear covers. The Ogre follows, but is taken out by Mimic. Banshee gets free, but the professor disables the headband that he was wearing. It turns out Banshee is not a villain at all, but that the headband was controlling him the whole time. We just didn't know because this was the first time we'd seen him, and that was just the outfit they gave him. As the Mimic takes care of Ogre, we get a warning about how dangerous Factor 3 is. Next book up, The Avengers, which was released on November 10th, 1966. It was written by Stan Lee with art by Don Heck. This story returns Wanda and Pietro to the Avengers after their return from Europe. As predicted, no mention of why they lost their powers or how they got them back. Triple ugh. Jeez, it's just so frustrating. Okay, anyway, so we start with Wanda asking Steve for help because her brother Pietro willingly ran into a UFO in their hometown. The door closed and now he's trapped inside. The Avengers agree to help free him, and they use the coolest looking jets in a super awesome layout to fly to Europe. Seriously, look at this thing. It's awesome. It's just the best layout I've seen in a while. It literally tells a short story while breaking the panel walls. So anyway, they leave the building and fly over the city and then out over the ocean. It's just a cool panel breakdown. Anyway, they get to the little European town, and there's this clear bubble over the spaceship. They go into some caves and below the bubble and are able to climb up into the ship from below. Big open space on the bridge of this ship. Not logical, really. This is just like a bad design for a spaceship, but it looks kind of cool, so there's that. This is where we find out that the Wanda who brought us here is fake. The real twins are both captured and in glass tubes. Our fake Wanda was was this alien chick with big eyes on her massive head. She commands a bunch of robots to kill the Avengers, and there's a big old multi-page fight with really great art throughout. Super different angles, like here on page 17, lots of bright action. Black Widow, who is not an Avenger here, but is just kind of helping, kind of saves the day. But we end the issue with everyone except Cap and Black Widow in those glass tubes. This final page has some really cool shots in it. Check out this silhouette with the red and white just sort of like popping over that blue background. It's just great art throughout. So X-Men number 28 has a lot going for it. The Ogre is kind of a forgettable villain of the week, and the Banshee intro is subtly racist, weirdly, but we see his powers really well in this introduction. What I like most about this issue, though, is how well it breathes. The plot here is loose, but we see a lot of X-Men interacting and just being normal, as is possible for mutants anyway. The dialogue feels supernatural, and the worst thing that could happen here is the Professor getting kidnapped. It just all around, it's just kind of all great, even if it's not like a key X-Men issue, except for that first appearance of the Banshee. This issue of the Avengers isn't bad either. It's a good story with lots of fun action, but I just can't get past the utter failure of storytelling here. I just want to go back in time, get a job at Marvel, and tell Stan that the fans will want to know the why of this stuff, and that he will have to come up with fewer stories if he just tells the ones right in front of his face. I'm going to try to hide my disappointment going forward, but to be honest, even though I knew going in this was going to happen, I'm still just hyper bummed that this is the outcome of a 6-month arc with Wanda and Pietro going back to Europe. Why? Well, you've survived another session in the Danger Room. For more character info, reading lists, and what other nerdy projects I'm tangled up in, head on over to Jordy.com. New episodes drop Wednesdays at noon and Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern. Remember, Marvel needs an infinite number of stories to tell, but they seem to have missed a very interesting one 60 years ago, and I just can't let it go.